Good morning or good afternoon, depending on when the class is. Okay, so in the last class, we looked at the Jallianwala Bagh massacre and basically how the British responded to the Rowlatt Satyagraha with the repression and with violence. Even though the people who were protesting were not violent, the British response was violence. And we did the cause and effect chain. I hope you've all done it in your notebooks. If you haven't, then you can still do it at home, right? Now, after the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, obviously Gandhiji decided that it was best to stop the the Rowlatt Satyagraha, and instead maybe it was first important to find an issue that would truly unite Hindus and Muslims in this participation, and basically also spread the movement beyond just cities. One of the problems with the Rowlatt Satyagraha was that it was primarily only in the cities. Gandhiji wanted that it should spread to all parts of India, including villages, and also that there should be more Hindu Muslim unity in the movement. And so the issue that Gandhiji found was basically the Khilafat movement. Now, the Khilafat movement did not have anything directly to do with India. What was the issue? It was basically an issue of the Muslims. The issue was initially raised in India by two Muslims, Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali. They were two brothers. And they basically raised the issue. What was the issue? If you look at the map here, you will see a place in circled in red. That is current day country of Turkey. Now, remember when we discussed that during World War One there was a fight happening, and one of the countries or empires that was fighting was Ottoman Turkey, if you remember, right? So Ottoman Turkey is this region right here. If you see, it basically is right in the middle of Europe and Asia, right? Middle East and Europe, right in the middle is Turkey. And Turkey was a very important place for the Muslims at this point of time. Once so during World War One, basically the British, the Allied side won. So the British, the French, the Russians, they defeated the Ottoman Empire, the Austro-Hungarian Empire here, as well as Germany, right? So they defeated these countries, and once they defeated them, the British imposed a very harsh treaty. Treaty is basically an agreement between two countries or two empires, and they basically the ruler of Turkey was at that point called the Caliph or the Khalifa, that is their king. For example, in India, you would call that person a Raja or a Shahenshah. So the Khalifa was the ruler of Turkey at that point. The treaty that was imposed or forced upon the Khalifa obviously did not want to accept the treaty, but it was forced upon him. And basically, it meant that it would take away much of his territory, this region in Turkey, and put it under British control, and also take away a lot of his power to rule. But the point was that for the Muslims, it was, and for Muslims across the world, not just those Muslims who lived in Turkey. Again, why was this an issue in which the Indian Muslims were involved? उनको क्या फर्क पड़ रहा है टर्की में कुछ भी हुए? उनको फर्क इसलिए पड़ रहा था that the caliph or the khalifa was not just seen as the ruler of Turkey, but he was also seen as the overall leader of the Muslims. वो टर्की में जो टर्की के अंदर की जो टेरिटरी रूल कर रहे हैं वो अलग बात है, बट उसके अलावा ही वॉज ऑल्सो द ओवरऑल स्पिरिचुअल लीडर, है ना, जैसे हम इंडिया में कहते हैं ना पंडित या गुरु या बाबा, राइट, दैट ऑफ द मुस्लिम्स, ऑल मुस्लिम्स. एंड मेनी एरियाज इन टर्की हियर वर एरियाज दैट वर sacred, yeah, important to all Muslims. So the Muslims were feeling bad that the British were basically mistreating the Khalifa or taking away his powers, and they wanted to raise this issue with the British. So Gandhiji realized that this was a perfect opportunity. There was an issue that the Muslims wanted to fight for, and there was also a larger discontent or anger against the British anyway in India, right? So why not join these two movements? The issue of, now what were the issues that Gandhiji wanted to combine? Gandhiji wanted to combine first the Punjab wrongs. Now what are the Punjab wrongs? जो भी जलियांवाला बाग में जो Britishers ने गलत काम किए थे, that he is calling the Punjab wrongs, plus the Khilafat wrong, which is the wrong treatment given to the Khalifa by the British, and also the growing demand for Swaraj, self-rule, that Indians should be able to rule themselves. All of these together encouraged Gandhiji to now launch a even bigger movement than the Rowlatt Satyagraha. And that movement would be the non-cooperation movement. अब what does first let's see what does non-cooperation mean? Cooperate करना मतलब किसी की सहायता करना, किसी की मदद करना. एंड गांधी जी का मेन पॉइंट ये है that ये इतने टाइम से the Britishers that they've been able to rule us is because Indians cooperated with the British. We were trading with the British. We were buying whatever material they were selling in the market. We were using it. Whatever schools and colleges they were opening, Indians were going to those schools and colleges. So basically Gandhi ji is saying if we stop cooperating with the British, अगर हम उनके साथ काम ना करें, उनका सामान ना खरीदें, ब्रिटिशर्स को बहुत जल्दी इंडिया से निकलना खुद ही निकलना पड़ जाएगा, हमें कुछ करने की ज़रूरत ही नहीं पड़ेगी. एंड विद दैट लॉजिक गांधी जी स्टार्ट्स द नॉन कोऑपरेशन मूवमेंट कि अब हम ब्रिटिशर्स के साथ कोऑपरेट नहीं करेंगे. सो ड्यूरिंग 1921 एंड 1922 दिस मूवमेंट स्टार्ट्स एंड the best way to not cooperate with the British, as Gandhiji puts it across, is basically a large-scale boycott. A boycott, we've already discussed it पहले also. What is a boycott? Basically, that you refuse to use any product. आप इंडिया में भी देखोगे बीच बीच में होता है ना, that we will boycott China-made goods, China-made products, कि हम चाइना का कोई सामान नहीं यूज़ करेंगे. सेम लॉजिक हियर कि हम ब्रिटिशर्स का प्रोड्यूस किया हुआ कोई भी सामान या ब्रिटिशर्स से के द्वारा चलाई गई कोई कॉलेज स्कूल कंपनी कुछ भी नहीं यूज़ करेंगे. एंड अ बॉयकॉट इज ऑब्वियसली वेरी नॉन वायलेंट, है ना. आप क्या कह रहे हो? आप बस इतना कह रहे हो कि हम ये प्रोडक्ट यूज़ नहीं करेंगे, इसमें कोई वायलेंस नहीं है. अगर आप नहीं खरीदना चाहते तो आप नहीं खरीदना चाहते, राइट. अगर आप किसी ब्रिटिश स्कूल में नहीं जाना चाहते तो आप नहीं जाना चाहते. दिस इज अ नॉन वायलेंट मेथड ऑफ प्रोटेस्टिंग. So basically students, they leave government schools, they leave government colleges, the lawyers stop going to court. कोर्ट को कौन चला रहा है? ब्रिटिशर्स ही चला रहे हैं. ब्रिटिश टाइटल्स वर गिवन बैक. सो जैसे रविंद्रनाथ टैगोर हैड गिवन बैक हिज टाइटल, सिमिलरली अदर पीपल ऑल्सो गेव बैक देयर टाइटल्स, जो उनको सर या नाइटहुड या लॉर्ड या जो भी कुछ भी ब्रिटिशर्स ने बनाया था. लेजिस्लेचर्स वर बॉयकॉटेड, जहाँ पर सारा लॉज बन रहे जिसमें इंडियंस को वैसे भी ज़्यादा हिस्से मौका तो मिलता नहीं है, तो जो थोड़े बहुत इंडियंस थे वो भी उन्होंने डिसाइड किया कि वो ये लेजिस्लेचर्स को बॉयकॉट कर देंगे. एंड large bonfires of foreign cloths, जो बाहर से Britishers were selling British goods in the Indian market, they were just burnt. Now, what was good about this movement was, or what made this movement a truly mass movement, was that people could pick any issue of theirs. It didn't have to be something that Gandhiji told them or the Congress leaders told them. Any local issue also, they could pick up that issue and link it or attach it with the non-cooperation movement. So basically, in Kheda in Gujarat, the peasants, they lead a non-violent campaign against the high revenue demands, basically saying कि हम आपको tax देंगे ही नहीं, right? So this is also a way of not cooperating with the British. In coastal Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu, there is a picketing of liquor shops. Picketing is basically आप दुकान का रास्ता ही रोक दो कि कोई अंदर नहीं जा सकता, कोई सेल कोई परचेस नहीं हो सकती. Liquor is alcohol which was also sold by the British. So basically how to force the British into a loss. In Guntur in Andhra Pradesh, this was a tribal area, right? So यहाँ पर there was a lot of movement by the tribals and the peasants to get their forest rights. Again हमने forest rights के बारे में civics में भी बात करी है, history में भी पहले बात करी है. And they start a lot of forest satyagrahas. Satyagrahas basically that focused specifically on forest rights. And they believe truly that with Gandhiji at the head, as Gandhiji, with Gandhiji as the leader, there was going to be a reduction in taxes, and all these forest regulations, जो rules जो Britishers ने लगाए हैं, वो सब abolish हो जाएंगे या खत्म हो जाएंगे. And they believe truly that with Gandhiji at the head, India would move towards Swaraj, self-rule, and this self-rule would be according to the type of vision that Gandhiji had, right? So Gandhi Raj. In Sindh, what is today in Pakistan. Now keep in mind again, at that point India and Pakistan were the same, right? So there was a lot of support for the Khilafat movement from the Muslim traders, and since the Khilafat movement was part of the non-cooperation movement, it was all considered as part of the larger movement. In Bengal, there was पार्टीशन के टाइम पे जो ब्रिटिशर्स ने बंगाल के पार्टीशन के टाइम पे जो हिंदूज और मुस्लिम्स के बीच में जो थोड़ा वहाँ स्प्लिट हुआ था, वो बिकॉज द खिलाफत एंड नॉन कोऑपरेशन मूवमेंट वर हैपनिंग साइड बाय साइड टुगेदर, it helped to unify the Muslims and Hindus in Bengal as well. In Punjab, the Sikh organization, which was the Akali organization, they also started leading a movement which wanted the removal of Mahant. Mahant basically could be similar to a Pandit in the Gurudwara, which were being appointed by the British. The Akali group, the Sikh people felt that these Mahants, these Pandits were corrupt. जो पैसा जा रहा था वो गुरुद्वारे की रेख सेख के लिए नहीं जा रहा था, लंगर के लिए नहीं जा रहा था, rather it was being used for other purposes. So they wanted this corruption to end. And in Assam, lots of people who worked in tea plantations, they left the plantation saying कि अगर हमारी आप तनख्वाह नहीं बढ़ाओगे, हमारी working conditions नहीं improve करोगे, तो we will not cooperate with you by not working for you, right? So these are all ways in which people started their smaller non-cooperation movement at the same time. So this 1921 to 1922 period saw a lot of local movements, but all of these local movements were ultimately connected to the larger non-cooperation movement as well. Right. So let's see a quick video as an overview of what we've looked at till now about the non-cooperation movement.
Hello, children. We know that the national struggle in India lasted a long period, covering many phases. Hindus and Muslims both have been inhabitants of India for several centuries, even during the British rule. Mahatma Gandhi wanted them to be united for any just cause, and this unity was apparent during the Rowlatt Satyagraha. Let's now discuss another movement where this unity was seen. That is the Khilafat movement here. Similar to the Rowlatt Satyagraha, the unity of Hindus and Muslims was also seen during the Khilafat agitation. It started in 1920 when the British imposed a harsh treaty on the Turkish Sultan, who had been defeated in World War I. The Sultan of Turkey was called Khalifa. The anger of the people, especially Indian Muslims, was high, as it had taken place around the time of the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. Under the Khilafat movement, Muslims demanded that the Khalifa should have control over the Islamic sacred places in the former Ottoman Empire. The main leaders of the Khilafat agitation were Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali. Both met Gandhiji and demanded that he should support them and initiate a full-fledged non-cooperation movement. Gandhiji agreed, and he asked Congress to campaign against the Punjab wrongs, that is the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, the Khilafat wrongs, and demand Swaraj. It was during 1921-1922 that the resultant non-cooperation movement picked up momentum. Many young people of India were involved in the non-cooperation movement. Many students left their schools and colleges. Famous lawyers, including Motilal Nehru, Chittaranjan Das, and C. Rajagopalachari, etc., renounced their legal practices. People surrendered their titles and boycotted legislatures. Foreign clothes were burnt. All these things were the beginning of a fierce storm. Do you wish to know more about people's initiatives during the movement? Well, people were generally non-violent in many cases, but at some places their protests turned violent. Patidar peasants in Kheda raised their voices against the revenue system of the British in a non-violent manner. The people of coastal Andhra and interior Tamil Nadu launched a campaign against liquor shops. A large number of forest satyagrahas were also launched at that time. In Guntur, in Andhra Pradesh, tribals and peasants refused to pay the grazing fee and sent their cattle into the forests. They protested against the restrictions imposed on them by the British on the access and use of the forests. Gandhiji was their hope. Many peasants believed that if they supported Swaraj, they would be able to enjoy Gandhi Raj. Muslim traders and the peasants of Sindh also took part in the Khilafat agitation, very enthusiastically. The unity of Hindus and Muslims was also seen in Bengal, which served as a power source to the national movements. At that time, the Akali agitation of the Sikhs was also taking place in Punjab. They protested against the corrupt Mahants in Gurudwaras, who were appointed by the British to manage the Gurudwaras. This protest was very closely linked to the non-cooperation movement. The slogan Gandhi Maharaj Ki Jai was heard in Assam, where tea labourers wanted a hike in their wages. They left the British-owned plantations where they had worked. Gandhiji's popularity was so high that in many Assamese Vaishnava songs, at that time, the name Gandhi Raja was used to substitute references to Krishna. Here is a quick recap of what we have learned so far.
So I hope the non-cooperation movement was clear. Again, I'm repeating myself again, but it's important that you are able to understand this now, because keep in mind this will come again in class 10, right? Non-cooperation movement in little greater detail you will do in class 10 also. So again, if you have any doubts, any questions, please ask Achal ma'am. She'll be able to help you. And there's a one small section that is left, along with one cause and effect chain that we'll do again in the next lecture. Okay, thank you.